Hey, it's Nate from Navigator Bookkeeping here with the next video in the business structure series. So today we're talking about PCs, not personal computers, but professional corporations. Now you may not have heard of a PC, and that's because it's kind of industry specific. Certain groups of professionals in certain fields are sometimes required to form PCs depending on the state, or they may just want to. But basically these are usually different medical practices, accounting practices, architects, engineers, some of the professions like that either depending on the state have to form a PC or may want to. So the important disclaimer to think about before I even get into anything with PCs here is each state is very different from the others, even with the terminology that they use. In Illinois, where I live, PCs are actually called PSCs. So every state is pretty different. So check with your state if you're thinking about a PC and find some state-specific information with that. But what is a PC? Like I said, it's basically a corporation formed by a group of professionals all in the same field. So it's a group of dentists, a group of podiatrists, a group of architects, a group of engineers. You can't intermix those usually with a PC. It has to be everyone in the same field holding a certificate or a license in that field. So that's a very important piece. So why would you want to form a PC? Well, first of all, your state might force you to. So in certain states, if you are a dentist and you want to start a practice with other dentists, you actually have to form a PC. So once again, it's state specific. But along with that, if you're not forced to do it, why would you want to do it? Well, PCs actually protect you from malpractice suits from the other owners in the business with you. So if I'm a dentist, I'm doing a great job, somebody I'm working with does not do a great job, or they even do, but either way, they get sued, I can't be liable for that at all. I'm protected from anything that happens to them malpractice-wise. So that's pretty cool. The downside is that you're not protected yourself. So if there's a malpractice suit against yourself, the PC does not protect you from that at all. So that's the downside. So you're protected from others. You're not protected on your own. So if you have a choice on whether to form a PC or not, if you're working with others, it probably makes a little bit more sense than if you're working on your own. Because if you're working on your own, it's not going to provide you any protection. Now, there is another business structure called a PLLC, which some states allow you to do, and that's a little bit different. You have a little bit more of the personal protection in some ways, and the taxation is also going to be a little bit different. It's going to be pretty much like an LLC, like we talked about earlier, instead of a corporation. So that's something to look into if your state has it. My state, Illinois, doesn't even have a PLLC. They just call it an LLC, so there's no difference. So once again, check with your state, figure out what to do. But how are PCs taxed? Well, by default, a PC is taxed as a C corporation. Now, we haven't talked about C corporations yet, but these are the big corporations usually. So when you think about big companies that are publicly traded, they're C corporations. Now, you don't have to be publicly traded to be a C corporation. That's just an example. But basically, a C corporation, the downside for a small business owner is you get taxed twice. So all of the profits in your business, they get taxed at the corporate level straight away. There's no getting away from that. So everything's going to get taxed even before it comes to you. Then once you take your distributions, you get paid, you're going to get taxed again on those profits. So you get taxed twice, which as a small business owner is not great. So C Corps do have some benefits if you're a larger business. So we'll get into that with the C Corp video. But if you're a small business, probably not going to want to be a C Corp. So what you can do if you're a PC is you can actually elect to be taxed as an S Corp instead. Now, we talked about our S Corps in the last video last week, and S Corps have some really good benefits. You're going to get passed through tax instead. So what happens is all the profits in the business are going to pass through to you personally. You're going to get taxed on them that way. That sounds bad, but the good piece is that then you're not getting that corporate tax at all. So you're actually only getting taxed once instead of twice, which is awesome. So if you are starting a PC, you're definitely going to want to elect to get taxed as an S Corp in most cases, unless you're a large business or have a lot of shareholders potentially. But that's kind of the good piece with the taxation is you can just be taxed as an S Corp and then you can go that way. So once again, PCs can protect you from malpractice with other owners. So that's good. You can be taxed as an S Corp. That's good as well. Look into if your state has PLLCs because those actually are simpler to set up. There's going to be less restrictions on that. So if your state does allow you to have a PLLC, that might be something to look at instead of using a PC. But once again, got to look at your state because each state is going to be very different with their regulations and restrictions on that. Any questions, let me know. But hopefully this has been helpful on PCs, and we'll get into C Corps next.